Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Adobe Cxo Summit. My name is Maricar, your Adobe Product Manager from VSTECS Philippines Incorporated, and I will also be your host for today. VSTECS is the exclusive distributor of Adobe in the whole PH territory. So for today, we will be highlighting how Adobe Sign can help provide maximum flexibility in this age of hybrid remote and in-person work setup. Before we start the event, I would like to recognize the presence of Ms. May Serrano, our third AVP and GM for Commercial Technology Group 2. Also, the presence of Adobe Country Manager for Philippines and Indonesia, Ms. Serene Seat, who will also give the opening remarks.
Thank you, Marika, and good morning, everyone. Before we get started, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say hello and to introduce myself as the country manager for the Philippines. So on behalf of the Adobe team, we are really excited to be here and we appreciate you taking time out to join us today. So in view of time, we are only able to share highlights of how Adobe Document Cloud can help your organization increase productivity as we see hybrid workplaces becoming increasingly common. So, and how do you do this while ensuring that you continue to deliver on your customer and employee experiences? So if you'd like to learn more or see a customized demo after today, please reach out to myself or your local account manager. And we are happy to arrange a one-on-one deep dive with you and your team to see how Adobe can cater to your organization's needs. So now I'd like to hand over to your next speaker, Rajesh, the Head of Territory and Channel Sales for Adobe Southeast Asia. Rajesh, over to you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Serene. Thanks, Marika, and a very warm welcome to this session for understanding what it means working in a hybrid workspace. So let me just start by sharing my screen right now. All right. So yeah, that's me. I lead the territory and channel sales teams for Adobe in Southeast Asia, and been with Adobe for some time now, just over 17 years. And I've seen what it means to transform, not just from a digital transformation perspective, but our own transformation. And I've been witness to that particular change throughout the organization. And last couple of years have been pretty difficult, to put it nicely, right? But from an Adobe's perspective, changing the world through digital experiences is our mission. From the moment you wake up in the morning until you go to bed, the media you consume, the ads you see, the websites you visit, or the purchases that you make throughout the day, chances are that every one of those experiences was touched by an Adobe technology. Experiences have been at the core of our business since the company's founding. And with our products, we are transforming how people learn, work, play, or do business. That's the power and opportunity in digital experiences. So at its essence, Adobe gives everyone right from the emerging artist, the freelancer, to the global brands that we work with, everything that they need to design and deliver exceptional digital experiences. What we are seeing today is there are three major drivers to digital transformation and reinvention. Obviously, an increased focus on customer centricity and customer experience has become the key, right? We are all every place listening only about customer experience today. The second lever, obviously, is innovation, and that is powered by creativity. If you have the right tools and the right minds, you will be able to create beautiful content that drives customer engagement and, in turn, make sure that you have innovative customer experiences for your customers, both internal as well as external. And then we are obviously looking at new ways of working so that it enables enterprises and, in turn, their employees to rapidly respond to customers and drive better customer experience as well as efficiency. So when all these three put together, they actually come up as the digital business agility. And those three correspond to these three clouds of ours, which is the Adobe Document Cloud, the Experience Cloud, as well as the Creative Cloud. With the Adobe Experience Cloud, we are helping enterprises to build campaigns, manage their advertising, and gain deep intelligence about their business performance. With our Creative Cloud, we are obviously bringing the world's best creative apps and services, assets, and learning content so that people can create the best work from anywhere, home or office, or even in a bus for that matter. And then the last one is obviously the Adobe Document Cloud, which provides everything that people need to work with digital documents, efficient workflows, quickly, securely in the systems that they use on day-to-day basis. And that is what we are going to jump into today. But before we do that, can we just request to have a poll to understand what this audience consists of, or what are your experiences with digital documents? Marika, can I request to have a poll there? So if you, in the meanwhile that we are looking at this slide, if you can just, share a bit about yourself, share a bit about what kind of workspace are you working with? Are you working from home, working from office? What kind of percentage, or what percentage of your organization still uses a lot of paper and there's manual activity involved? And where within your organizations do you see these processes where there is a lot more paperwork, a lot more manual work? Okay. Results are coming in as you see, and wow. So more than 50% are working remotely in the last year or so, which is obviously no surprise there. That's good to see that there are at least 22% who have less than 20% of their activities or their workflows not on paper, or maybe less than 20% who are talking about paper based. The others are saying 20 to 50%, and more than 50% is about 30%. So yes, we have a mix. We always say that we need to work towards a paperless office, but to be very honest, it has been something that I've been sharing with people, or with our customers, since I joined Adobe. And we can tell you that it is not paperless, but it is less paper office that we can strive for. And where within your organization, so you see everybody, sales and procurement, legal and compliance, finance as the biggest one, and others as well, where there is these activities that happen with manual and paper-based processes. Thank you so much for sharing this, but because this gives me a hint to probably share with you what we come here to talk about today, which is the Adobe Document Cloud Enterprise. So the Document Cloud Enterprise is an intelligent and extensible platform that actually helps our customers deliver the best customer experiences, as well as drive efficiencies across internal and external workflows with intelligent PDF forms. These obviously can be used on any surface, like mobile apps, services on tablets, or at any scale that we are looking at. So Adobe Document Cloud is built for the enterprise just with this particular purpose. When we're looking at Adobe Document Cloud, let me just give you a brief idea of what we are speaking here. It is all about end-to-end digital document experiences. We are not just talking about agreements here, because let me just share with you, over the last year, 250 billion with a B PDFs were opened in the last year itself. Over 30% of all documents in Office 365 with all the Office 365 customers are PDFs. There are over 250 million signatures that happened just last year. So if we take a look at Adobe's core principles, we have proven that, the record of providing the best platform to enable our customers to take action on their documents, scale and integrate into the systems of their record, and create engaging and easy experiences. So that is where we are moving towards, and we keep on innovating. So if you take a look at Adobe Scan, I don't know how many of you actually use it, but I suggest after this session, if you can go to the App Store or the Play Store, depending on what device you use, and download Adobe Scan, it actually turns every phone into a high quality scanner. It scans everything in a snap. You will be able to capture forms, notes, multi-page reports, if at all, and documents, receipts, or even business cards. Powered by Adobe Sensei, it actually understands or automatically detects the borders, removes any shadows, or converts printed text into digital in seconds. So we've been reinventing the way a PDF works. We have reinvented the way sharing and collaboration happens within your teams as well as your employees for a PDF document. We're making sure that the document is much more intelligent, so that if you haven't seen it, open Adobe Reader on your phones, and if you open a document, rather than looking at a document in the format that it was meant to be on a computer, you can click on the teardrop that you see on the Adobe Reader, and if you click on that teardrop, it automatically becomes reading mode. So that is what we are doing. We're constantly innovating and making sure that you have an end-to-end digital document experience with our products. When we look at specifically Document Cloud, obviously the biggest portion is covered with Adobe Sign. And when we're looking at Sign, it actually helps you transform your processes into 100% digital experiences, because we have always come across document management where documents are flowing around, and the last part, where the last mile is involved, where you need to sign a particular document, you are absolutely given a pen and paper, and then you start signing it, and you have to scan it and send it out. So that last mile, digitizing that last mile, is a big thing, which is converting your process into a complete 100% experience. It is actually taking these e-signature experiences so that your customers feel good about what they are seeing or what they are experiencing. Using artificial intelligence and machine learning, Adobe intelligently transforms today's existing workflows, eliminating any delays and accelerating all the processes, and in turn the business for you. It does this by extending your present workflows as well as your existing systems, with out of the box connectivity. Let me just share you an example. Maybe Microsoft's full productivity suite is actually tightly integrated with Adobe Sign today. So, and also systems, critical business systems such as, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Workday, and many more. If whatever systems that we have integrated, like 150 of them presently, but if one of them or your system is not one of them and is not present in that particular integration, we have APIs which will help you create that integration, which enable that custom integration for you, so that e-signature is available in all existing environments. We are making sure that we are optimizing our licensing to make it a cost-effective solution, so that it scales with your business and gives you the superior value that you're looking at. It also allows you to get much more from the existing investments that you have, and makes your employees much more productive. They can collaborate better and go towards a better, improved compliance and transparency in the overall technology infrastructure that you have today. And lastly, we've been in the business for more than 37 years now, providing solutions that help businesses of every size. And that is our commitment to our customers. And hence, we have earned a spot in the Fortune's best 100 companies to work for list. We are an enterprise ourselves, so we understand how implementation works, how deployment and managing enterprise software is challenging. And that is the reason we make sure that yours becomes an easier one with all the guidance that we provide. All in all, this is built on a secure and scalable and compliant platform that operates globally and processes more than billion transactions per year. So which is why we are very, very proud that majority of the Fortune 100 companies actually use Adobe Sign to power their e-signatures. So in the integration part where we spoke about Microsoft a little bit, let me just deep dive into what Microsoft and Adobe partnership leverages. It actually leverages the strength and the leadership of each company, bringing the richness and the power of Adobe Cloud directly into the productivity and collaboration solutions of Microsoft Office 365. So when we are looking at Microsoft and Adobe, we are making sure that we give you a digital platform that is unmatched by any other ecosystem, and helping your business digitally transform to drive good experiences for your customers. So you see the logos on the screen there, Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, Dynamics, you name it, or even the day-to-day activity product or productivity features like the Word, Outlook, and PowerPoint. We are deeply integrated with all Microsoft solutions. That is the reason we would say that this makes you enterprise ready. It meets all the legal and security and compliance requirements and creates that rich ecosystem to make sure not only just the Adobe partners, but there are many global extensive ISV partners for Microsoft, somebody like Aptus, iCertis, Nintex, to help combine these powers and give you the best possible experience. Adobe Sign obviously is Microsoft's preferred e-signature partner, and we make sure that we run everything inside of your Microsoft portfolio itself, so that you have, or your users have, ease of use and deployment. So when we look at Microsoft integration, that's one part of the story, because we also help with extending your investment that you have made probably in HR software like Workday or SAP SuccessFactors, or if you have CLM, which is like Aptus, or you're using Oracle, or even anything from Conga for document generation, or repositories such as Google or Box. We have absolute integration with all of these systems that your enterprise presently uses. Now, that said, maybe there is a system, as I mentioned earlier, which is not here, but your team uses it. There are extensive APIs that are available to make sure that you can create and extend that customization for your systems. And all this is available at no extra cost. So everything is included within the Adobe licenses to make sure that this enterprise grade APIs will help scale your workflows and make sure that you have a better experience within the systems that you are using specifically today. Now, when we are looking at this, it is obviously deriving as much value as possible from Adobe Sign, may it be standalone, or if you're integrating it with your existing systems. And for that particular reason, we have actually had a survey which understood the total economic impact for all our customers. And let me just share with you that the total cost of ownership is absolutely valuable when you include the pricing and licensing with no hidden charges. for critical business functionality or support. So it is included upfront, and we work with you and your team to optimize your Adobe wide licenses. It is possible that you are using some other licenses from Adobe, and we would love to make sure that you have a standard operating licenses operating in your particular enterprise, and would realize the value, plus make sure that there are cost savings for you. So that is something that our competitors do not have. We have performed a numerous competitive migrations. I would not name the competitor here, but competitive migrations which have proven to help their process and make sure they start using Adobe Sign very, very quickly. We have helped these companies listed below, like Sony Bank, Equifax, to make sure that there is a ton of saving. What kind of saving are we talking about? You know, the saving is near about $28 per document, in which, you know, $6 is probably paper and shipping costs, 1.5 is per transaction, figured at about $30 per hour, and productivity capture of 50%. So converted 167,000 gallons of water, 58,000 plus pounds of waste, and 9,000 pounds of waste, equaling to about 461,000 pounds per year. So we are looking at huge numbers here. But then because of this particular study that we made with Forrester, total economic impact, we understood that these figures, even though they are looking curiously high, after speaking to these specific customers, we made sure we understood that yes, this is probably not a extravagant figure, but a norm, to make sure that, you know, we are bringing in value to our end user, we are bringing in value to their teams, to their enterprise, and from a C-level perspective, it is driving additional value for existing investments, something like Microsoft, Salesforce, Workday, SAP, and making sure that you have improved workforce productivity. So all that said, Gartner's Peer Insights review, which happened recently, made it clear that every customer of ours is willing to recommend Adobe Sign at 100%. So every customer, there's no customer that would not prefer to recommend Adobe Sign. As a leader with digital document solutions, we absolutely provide guidance, expertise, and resources to your team to help deliver success for you. There is obviously migration services, training, and best practices. Obviously, we spoke a lot about the out-of-the-box integrations as well as the comprehensive APIs. And all this is included in the pricing for the license. So it is inclusive of support, it is inclusive of services, and our goal is to ensure that your project and implementation are successful. To make sure that this is not just from a product perspective, but security and compliance is probably the key for any customer like yours to choose a particular solution. And authentication and compliance is at the core, I would say, is in the DNA for Adobe. So when we are providing these extra compliance or extra authentication situations, like putting in a password or having a SMS token with phone with a OTP. So those kind of things are something that all our banks are relying on today. All our credit card transactions are working that way. And that is the reason we are making sure that you have complete clarity on who signed and understand it is authenticated perfectly. That said, that is the part on security, and obviously there are many more questions that might arise in your mind, and we'll be happy to answer all of them, because that is one area, security and compliance, that we take very seriously. Until and unless you and your security teams are happy about where Adobe's networks work with your documents, there will, excuse me, there will never be the next step of pushing further for sales or anything of that sort, because that is the most important part for us. I can share this with you that we are also compliant with industry leading compliances like HIPAA, ISO certified, PCI DSS compliant, which is for credit cards, and obviously the big one, which is the most, I would say, popular one, which is GDPR, which was about Private Data Protective Act, which is across the European Union. So we can obviously go country by country as well, and we understand the compliance issues within the country, and we support that. On this particular note, I would also like to probably share with you that we are in talks with a couple of big financial institutions in Philippines. I would love to name them very, very soon, but the only thing I can share right now is big financial institutions, and we have gone past the security and the compliance evaluations and passed with flying colors there. So that is something that I can share for now. Fingers crossed, in our next probably session, we would be able to name them as well, if they are ready for that. So when we look at where in your enterprise this particular solution is getting utilized, and we are looking at our present set of customers, let me share with you that it is not only just the end customer facing or the customer facing areas like sales or marketing, but we are looking a lot, and as you mentioned in the survey as well, a lot is being used internally, budget approvals, reimbursement requests and stuff like that in finance, HR, where offering to a new candidate, or benefits of self-enrollment and policies, employee onboarding. These are the areas where we see HR people using it. We are definitely going to talk a lot more in detail with legal. We have a special guest speaking after me, and then that's where you will understand a bit more about how things are happening on that particular front. And it was good to see that there was a bigger line on that manual processes in the legal side when the poll came out. So we are looking at every aspect, not just customer facing, but internal as well. And these are the leading Adobe Sign customers. It's not by any means a comprehensive list, but these are the customers who are accepting to be showcased as a customer case study for us. So right from HSBC, MasterCard, PayPal, the finance side of things, to your integrations like Workday and Microsoft, to any and every part of an industry. So Nike, which is retail, or WPP in advertising, and you have a couple of universities there. So that's a huge or various, I would say, industries that we work with. If you take a look at customer successes, I would like to share with you that Merck found faster time to signature by about 1,400%. We had the Iowa State University, where they started utilizing Adobe Sign and stood up web applications in just 2 days, as compared to a lot more time that they were spending earlier. 6 times faster onboarding for the State University of California State University at Fullerton, and Hitachi Consulting with 80% faster contract turnaround time. So obviously these are all customer successes and case studies which are published on our website. The big one that I would like to specifically talk about here is TSB. What TSB did was it joined forces with Adobe as part of their 2022 strategic plan to support their personal and business banking customers to make customer service forms available online. This rollout was typically done to accelerate this particular workflow when people could not be physically appearing in the branch. So greatly reducing this particular thing greatly reduced their customer calls to their contact centers, especially during the pandemic that we are going through. So over the past 8 weeks, TSB has released up to 18 forms online, and this has been processed over, they have processed over 80,000 online transactions with Adobe Sign, which otherwise would have equated to as many as 15,000 in-branch face-to-face visits. So just imagine, replacing that with just signed transactions. Now, this is a big story, and this is a story I wanted to share because it's a bank, right? It's a financial institution, and which makes it a lot more, I would say, stringent reviews of security, stringent reviews of compliance, stringent reviews on where our cloud is and what we use and how Adobe treats their documents, private, confidential, as well as with a high level of security on the cloud infrastructure. So that is something that I wanted to share. Let me give you a brief on where Adobe stands here on the scale, transforming the scale. So when we're looking at our experience cloud business, to give you a sense of the scale, every day we are powering over 14 trillion segment activations. We are serving over 15 billion web pages every day. So that is helping our customers to transact for over $150 billion every year. So that is the experience cloud side of the business. With our creative cloud, we are making sure that over 90% of the world's creative professionals, obviously they use Photoshop, but they are also utilizing our mobile applications and have downloaded it more than 376 million times. There's Adobe Stock, obviously, which offers 200 million plus assets, which include videos, vector graphics, editorial assets, photos, illustrations, templates, and even 3D assets. And lastly, we were speaking about the document cloud. I did speak about a few numbers here. Is 250 billion PDFs, which were opened in Adobe products last year, about 8 billion with a B electronic and digital signature transactions happened across document cloud in the past year. And majority of Fortune 100 companies rely on Adobe Sign for secure electronic signatures. With that, I would like to share with you a very small video just to give you a glimpse of what kind of integration we have when it comes to Microsoft, and also what kind of added security it provides and added authentication it provides to anybody who is utilizing Adobe Sign. So just take a look at this video here.
Adobe Sign's integrations with Microsoft allow you to bring the tools to where you work to better interact with employees and customers remotely. Using the new live signing as part of Adobe Sign for Microsoft Teams, you can host an agreement for signature in a video Teams meeting. Using the Adobe Sign message extension, you can simply look up the agreement in Adobe Sign to host in the meeting. In the meeting chat, you can then send the invitation to the signer. The signer can then click on the link, affirm that they are who they say they are, and then view the document. The signer can also share their screen while they sign using Microsoft Teams. Once they are ready, they can simply sign the document. All done. A log of when the signer signs is logged in the meeting chat, and a signed copy is sent via email to the signer. That's just a quick view of how Adobe Sign for Microsoft Teams is connecting people and businesses remotely.
Thank you, Rajesh, for that very insightful presentation about Adobe Sign. And truly, what I liked about what he said is Adobe Sign is at the heart of everything that we deliver. And dear audience, dear end users, if you have any questions, please feel free to chat it in our chat pod or our Q&A box. Our experts are here to address all of them. So don't be shy. Please feel free to ask any questions here. Moving on to our next speaker, of course, we are very privileged to have Adobe Southeast Asia's Head of Legal to join us for today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Ms. Marianne Low. Marianne?
Hi everyone, nice to meet you. Hope everyone's still comfortable in your seats, wherever you may be. So thanks for taking the time. My name is Marianne. I'm based in Singapore and I head up the Southeast Asia legal team here. So I'm primarily responsible for all the transactional matters and any regulatory issues that might pop up in the region. So today, I will actually not be sharing so much about the legal landscape in Philippines because there are tons of webinars and lots of publications written by law firms on this issue, on what's enforceable and what's legal in Philippines. In fact, we have a public website that actually has the legality issues all set out per country that you can refer to if you want to understand a particular country's legality and validity requirements and what is required at law. And these are all written by outside counsel that we have engaged because we wanted to provide a very neutral, non-Adobe view of what the law is in the country. So I would really want to focus my time in the next 15 to 20 minutes to really talk about our journey, how we actually transformed and became paperless or almost 100% paperless in our own company. Next slide, please. So, I mean, in true so-called a normal negotiation, there will be many stages. You review the contract, you trade red lines with the other party, you repeat the process as long as it takes. And then when you reach stage 5, you would think you close out all the issues, and stage 6 should be the easiest thing to do, which is just signing the contract. But actually that may be more than meets the eye just on stage 6. So next slide, please. If we think about just in the non-digital world, what has happened in just that critical last stage of signing the papers, these 3 pictures actually to me really represent what's going on and what was really my life maybe back in the late 1990s and early 2000, where there's no cloud-based solutions at all. Everyone was working on hard copy-based documents, wet ink signatures. The first picture of me running around, this is very real as you chase down your directors, whether they're running off to lunch, running off to a meeting, or maybe physically not even being in the same office as you, was a real task because you don't want to leave confidential information on their tables. You can't really task this to some other person to do. So you'll find that I would actually find myself having to run back and forth, sometimes across buildings, just to catch the authorized signatory to sign documents. And in that middle picture over there, as an authorized signatory in the web-based, wet ink-based world, basically they could go away on a 2-week leave. And when they come back, they'll find whole stacks of documents on their table waiting for their signature, and they could spend their valuable time. I mean, these are directors, vice presidents sitting there for 2 whole days just signing documents, which is really not a good use of their time. And of course, last but not least, when you're thinking about cross-border authorized signatories, whether it's in your own company that has to sign or the counterparty, really that courier time is going to eat up your transactional plan to closure time. And that window just gets enormously dragged out depending on the state of the courier service. And even at best, it takes at least 24 hours if it's a cross-border transaction. Next, please. And then, so just to share a little bit on how our own journey was, we started some 10 years ago. We believe so much in the digital age and digital first. We actually acquired a company that was already dabbling in a sign technology. This was Cxo Sign. We acquired that in 2011. Since then, we integrated this sign technology with our existing contract management system. We, as part of that process, we'd of course pumped in a lot of investment to get the security of the systems up. We've revamped it quite a fair bit since 2011, the acquisition. And in the mid 2015 to 2016, almost all our contracts like our standard templates, whether it's offer sign letters, procurement letters, and the basic sign execution documents, which is basically our sales orders and sales agreements. Those are the lifeblood of a company in any case. They were all equipped to be sign enabled. That means we put the coding in there. It was all available through the system to run it electronically, and our authorized signatories actually hardly sit in Singapore. It became very easy, and it takes just minutes to get them to sign any document or any transaction that's happening in, say, Southeast Asia. But in that second last line where you see in the 2016-2019 period, basically we were almost 100% paperless, at least for our own company, except for 4 countries. And this is what we refer to as the CTKV: China, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam. And the reason being, it's not that these countries do not permit electronic signing. It's just that we were very aware and acutely cognizant of the fact that the company stamp in these 4 countries have enormous weight, even more weight than the signatory and the so-called the signature that seems to be more common in other countries. And so in an electronic world, you can't really have the company stamp so-called integrated in that whole process. And we didn't want to run into any situations with customers whereby they would say the company stamp is not on the document even though they signed it. So we left out these 4 countries. Kind of at the back end, it was just continued to be in wet ink. So these 4 countries experienced slower so-called time to closure if you're talking about just that signing portion of a contract. But by late 2019, we saw a shift in even these CTKV countries, and we started opening it up. And I think the risk was deemed low, so we decided to use it for all our sales contracts, including CTKV countries. So this is really the way that has helped us not face any obstacles when we are all in some kind of a lockdown or all countries have some kind of a mandatory work from home situation. It didn't impact us much, pretty much, because we already had this system in place and we had allowed all these countries to continue working through whatever they may need from a procurement or from a sale point of view. So this is the rough picture of the Adobe journey. And please go next. Thanks. Yes. And I guess the barriers to entry, it wasn't like an overnight process for sure. As I mentioned, when we acquired the company, there was the integration with our contract management system that we had to do. But given the ROI and the time and productivity that we're talking about of very high executives, this was quite easy to overcome. And I think as Rajesh shared earlier, from a customer standpoint, the integration is much simpler than for us who acquired an entirely new company. From an adoption standpoint, while we have quickly pivoted, and I think since 2012 and moving on to 2015, we've pretty much moved all our contracts, at least those that require Adobe signature, into an electronic signing process. Our customers may not necessarily embrace it so fast. So what happens, it could be a hybrid model whereby Adobe signs with the wet ink, and then our customers, we allow them to continue using, sorry, I got that reversed. I mean, Adobe continues to sign electronically and our customers just do their usual wet ink process. So that's kind of like the hybrid model for some of the countries which are slower to adopt or embrace electronic signatories. And then last but not least, it would be the legality portion. Of course, this would be a barrier to entry due to the risk it carries and the compliance requirements for each specific jurisdiction. So I'll double click into this in the next slide. So as a legal person, of course, I'm always concerned about these 4 things, especially the first 2, enforceability. So whether the electronic document and signature is even going to hold any weight in the jurisdiction. It's good to know that across our region in Southeast Asia and in Philippines, you have the Electronic Commerce Act. I think let's call it the E-Commerce Act for short. that is actually the centerpiece in Philippines that really gives weight and is designed to cast away any doubts about electronic signatures and documents in the country. So enforceability, that is quite easy to solve. Most countries have some sort of legislation, and for, like I mentioned, Philippines is the E-Commerce Act. When it comes to admissibility as well, what we want is, of course, a document that we can reliably depend on in the future. And if there's a dispute between the two parties, you really want to be able to admit this document into court as evidence that there was a contract and they agreed to provisions, what ABC, whatever it may be. So admissibility is, of course, top of mind. And it's worth knowing that the rules on the electronic evidence in Philippines as well puts this very clearly as well, that electronic documents will not be denied just because they are in electronic form. And there are certain presumptions that are afforded under your Rules of Electronic Evidence Act that really puts a presumption that the document that you're going to produce with the electronic signature, it will have a presumption of it is the person to whom it correlates. Say if a David signed a document, there's a presumption that David signed it unless disproved with other evidence. It also shows intention that is also presumed under the rules of electronic evidence. And so with these presumptions afforded by your so-called Rules of Electronic Evidence Act, it actually puts the burden on the other party who wants to, maybe for some reason known only to themselves, they want to disprove that the contract is not validly signed. They would then have the burden of disproving it. So I would say the situation is very similar in Singapore, Malaysia, India, Indonesia as well. So these two key pillars, at least in our region, is quite settled. It is enforceable, it is admissible. Not to mention, of course, the more developed countries like Europe and US, for sure, electronic signatures are widely embraced. And if we talk about security, I think Rajesh has shared quite a fair bit about that. We do have a lot of industry benchmark and the best in market certifications. These are third-party audited certifications, like to maintain SOC 2 or ISO 27001. It's an annual process. There's ongoing obligations for us to upkeep, to continue with those certifications. In fact, we also have FedRAMP, and that is the US government's security standard. So in fact, Sign is our most secure solution because of the nature of documents that flow through this platform. And last but not least is auditability. This one is to me, it's really the value add of why we move electronic. So auditability is at the end of using the Sign solution, there's actually a report that could actually show you when and who from what IP address signed off the document on both sides. So you can actually have this report kept with you. And of course, if you ever get challenged in court, you can actually point to an IP address who signed the document at a specific time and date. This is available to both sides, the one who initiated the document and the one who also had to countersign at the end. Next, please. So I would say, in terms of how we thought about it and how we really moved into digital and to this electronic signature process for the entire business, we had in mind a risk-based approach. And what this means is we really took into account the local practice and culture, which is why we deferred the 4 countries that I mentioned before. The CTKV countries were kept really for the last because of their local practice. A second thing we think about as we think about risk is the local laws and formalities. There are certain documents in each country which might be not appropriate for electronic signing. They tend to be land, like when you're sale and purchase of land, powers of attorneys, security documents that you send to the SEC, certain type of tax returns, certain type of hereditary and marital conjugation type documents. Apart from these so-called special subject matters, most countries will allow just general, if enterprise kind of agreements, whether it's procurement, PO, sales contracts, HR, employment letters. These are all permitted in most jurisdictions. part of the risk analysis was, of course, the signatories, where they may be. And when you're thinking about large scale volume of transactions, you're trying to get productivity for your company, you would want to adopt this kind of electronic signature to really boost the ROI and productivity of your high stakeholders and directors. You don't want them to be bogged down with paper. And of course, last but not least, is the types of contract. Electronic signatures is really prime for contracts of high volume. Is your run of the business kind of contracts that we are thinking about. It should be the ones that take away a lot of the burden and workload from your people. Next, please. And so the benefits, I think Rajesh and myself have shared pretty much most of it. It's definitely faster, more accurate time to completion, despite where the signatories may be. When COVID subsides and everyone gets to travel again, a lot of your signatories will be traveling on business trips. This really facilitates that. They can do it on their mobile phones even. The security and auditability, that audit trail is key and the greatest value add. And of course, the increased productivity of everyone in the chain of your workforce. So I think that's the end of my presentation. So maybe I can hand it back to Marika.
Thank you, Marianne, for sharing your first-hand experience in using Adobe Sign. Okay, so it's nice to hear that, coming from a legal standpoint, at least we were able to share with our dear end users the value of Adobe Sign. So if you have any questions, I think we can run through the Q&A portion.
Hey, Marika. So I think there were a couple of questions that were there earlier.
Yep.
Michael is asking about integrations with Google Workplace. So Google Workplace, from a Drive perspective, yes, there is integration. So if at all you are starting a document in Drive, you can access with our document cloud. So document cloud integration with Google Drive is available. As far as anything on the mail as well as the Google Docs side of things is concerned, that is not something that is an open based format where Adobe can integrate. So apart from Drive, I don't believe there are any further integrations as such when it comes to Google Workplace. I hope that answers your question, Michael. Let me move to the second one, which is Joy is asking about how do we maintain authenticity, integrity of the document. When we're looking at authenticity and integrity, let me share with you the technical side of things, and then probably Marianne can share with you what the legal view of authenticity and integrity is. Whenever you are signing a document, or let's start from, I have a document and I'm sending it to you for signatures. When that is happening, there is a clear security guideline for the cloud where the document at rest as well as in transit has a dual layer of security to maintain the integrity of the document. That is one part. The second part is this is a non-editable document. As soon as, so it is non-editable is non-editable. Nobody can do anything about it. If you're taking a photograph of it and then probably scanning it again and doing something with it, it will not have a certified authority band on top of that particular document. So if I send a document to you, you sign it, send it back to me, there is a blue band on the top stating this document is valid and all the signatures and all the information on that particular document is valid. When it comes to authenticity and integrity, that is where it would be. But when it comes to authentication of who is signing, that is what Marianne mentioned. There's an audit report which tells you who signed, who viewed the document, from which IP address, and when they signed, and if at all there is a OTP that is required, which will probably add one more factor to their authentication to make sure that they are the right people who are signing it. So that's probably from the technology side of things. I don't know if Marianne, you would like to add something on this.
Just to add, maybe I would say that sometimes when you are not sure about who your counterparty might be, you've never met them before, it's always good to maybe at least get email confirmation who's signing the document, and so that when the audit report comes up, you not just have the audit report of this guy logging into his email address and his director, Mr. So and so. You actually have the email confirming from the company themselves saying that Mr. Director so and so is authorized to sign this document. So that actually is very foolproof evidence. If it's ever challenged that this contract was signed by someone not authorized to sign, you actually have nothing to show that you were led to believe otherwise. So that might be just a practical step if you are unsure of who the counterparty might be.
Yep. Thanks, Marianne. So I think I hope we clarified that for you, Joy. Enzo's question is on the legal side, does Adobe Sign include any template contracts? Wouldn't that be defeating the purpose? Because I believe that when it comes to legal contracts, there cannot be a template to it, because nobody agrees on a standard template any which ways. I am not a lawyer, but I can tell you this, that all our agreements, every legal team from every company would have something to say about it. And that's probably the reason I don't think we include any templates as such. But whatever your templates are, and if at all the question is more technical, if at all the question is that, oh, I have a document which is my template, I can actually add it to my Adobe Sign library in such a way that all the groups who are accessing that particular content actually use that same template. So that standardization of the template is definitely possible. We do not give sample templates as such. I hope that answers. But Marianne, anything to add from your side?
No, that's exactly it. It's a solution that's meant to facilitate and promote your existing contracts,
Yeah.
your existing enterprise templates that you might already be using.
Cool. Julius is asking about SharePoint and Adobe Sign integration. Julius, by the way, I did not instigate Julius to ask this question, but there's an inbuilt integration with SharePoint. I would be very happy, Julius, to share that with you. Today, we were just covering the overview, but please reach out to Marikar, arrange for a customized demo session. And I am no technical person myself, but I'll bring a solution consultant who can actually show you a live product instance, a productive instance, or a production instance, as they call it, of SharePoint, managing your documents and sending them over for signatures. It can be done with with Microsoft Teams as well. So yes, SharePoint integration definitely is available, Julius. So please reach out to Marikar for fixing a appointment on this. Michael has another question, which is, how about notifications when signed? Yes, absolutely. So Michael's question is again around Google Workplace. Michael, I believe the reason for not having the kind of notifications that we have with Teams in Google Meet is because of Google's environment, which is not API based. It is not an environment where Google would want to hook on with Adobe Sign. In terms of Microsoft, I believe we have a much better partnership, and it is both companies need to come together to make that partnership happen, which probably is not the case with Google, though we do use Google Drive, as I said earlier. But that is probably the situation with Google for now. Can you attach additional docs when signed documents is routed for signing? That's an amazing question. Yes. When you are creating a form in Adobe Sign, you can actually add a attachment link. What that will do is it will allow you to allow any user who is going to sign that document to click on that attachment link and add a proof of identity or proof of purchase or whatever they need to add for your document to be supplemented with additional documents. So that is what is possible. No on the Google side, yes on the attachment side. So I hope I answered your question there, Michael. Form template for other than contract? Yes, Michael, again, forms are very, very specific. We do not want to, I would say, guess how a form would look like, how a company would like to use a form. Most of the forms are generally there. They are paper forms. If they are paper forms, there is a very nice way to actually use Adobe Scan and convert them into digital forms and then start utilizing them. But yes, we do not have templates for forms either. Enzo is asking, what is the difference between using Adobe Sign and Adobe Acrobat Reader's PDF when it comes to signing contract documents? Okay, two things. One is when you're signing with Adobe Reader, you're either signing with a digital ID that you have created yourself, or you're signing with a digital certificate. The digital ID is something which is private. It can be attached to a policy, and that does not necessarily create a legal document. It can create a document which is authorized due to your environment, but it is not creating a legal document as such. When it comes to Adobe Sign, we are talking about highest level of security, highest level of compliance, and highest level of legal acceptance. So that is where it might, that is where the differences lie. But I'll just check with Marianne. Marianne, you want to add something here?
Maybe just a quick point, which is the fact that, I mean, with just the Acrobat signing, it assures you of your own part of the signing process, but actually what you are probably after is the counterparty's validity about it, which, because they are the ones who are going to challenge the contract, if at all. So sign would actually capture both sides and make it very hard for them to disprove that they didn't sign it. Whereas in Acrobat, once you give it over to them, if they don't have a similar Acrobat setup with that digital ID, you are not going to get the assurance on the counterparty side.
Fantastic. Yep, that's a valid point. So the other one is obviously Julius will connect with you separately, but Joy is asking, what are the available licenses for Adobe Sign? The Adobe Sign licenses are available in the per user basis or in per transaction value. So depending on what your use cases are, depending on what the volume of your Sign transactions can be, we can actually help you with the correct pricing and the correct licensing. So Joy, please reach out to Marikar and we can take this forward with you. Thanks for the information. Okay, the other party should need to have Adobe license for signing. No, Michael, that's again, I did not ask Michael to ask this question. You know, these look like planted questions, believe me, but these are not. But these are questions that come up on a regular basis, that the other person, the person who is signing the document, does not need any Adobe license. All they need is a browser. So that is the reason they can come on to a phone, you know, click the email on the phone and start using a browser and just use their finger to sign it. They can even draw a flower if they want, if they don't want to sign. It is not what the signature looks like. It is what the audit report says, the IP address, as well as, so the backend information is much more important when it comes to electronic signature. So yeah, that's, how do you prove it legally? You prove it legally with the audit report. As I said, electronic signatures are acceptable in the court of law with an audit report, and the audit report proves who the person is who signed that particular document.
Okay. Rajesh, I think we also have questions from the Q&A pod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So first question is from Sir Joey. Do you have Adobe Sign for Google Meet?
No, as I said earlier, so you know, it is something that is not you see, it's between companies, and depending on what is integration. So the integration cannot happen just from Adobe's side; it has to be from the other company as well. So that's where we are. But Google Drive, yes, we allow you to store the documents in Google Drive and access them and send it for signature if needed. But no, not on Google Meet. Yes.
Got that. So the second question is there an API key or plugin module for M-Streams integration from Office 365?
Oh, there's no need for API when you're talking about MS Teams, because MS Teams is integrated automatically, you know, but all you need to do is go to MS Teams and search for the add-in or the app Adobe Sign. If I make very quickly, I don't think I am logged into my Teams right now, but let me very quickly, just if you don't mind, take 2 seconds of yours. Let me start sharing my screen. And if you see, I'm on MS Teams right now, but if I just clicked on this and said, you see that find an app, I have Adobe Sign already here. So if I clicked on Adobe Sign, it actually allows me to sign in. So I can go into Adobe Sign and then it will automatically come up. It is asking me to authorize and sign in. I can click there and it will just sign in. Once I sign in, I am able to actually utilize the sign portion here. Not only just the sign portion, I'm actually able to go ahead and manage my documents, manage my agreements. I'm sorry, but it might take a bit of time when I'm logging in and stuff like that. And I was not ready for a demo as such, but that's to give you an answer that, you know, it doesn't need an API.
Okay, all right. So I guess that concludes our questions. But if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me. We have our whole VSTECS team to, connect with you guys and discuss more in details. So I think this is a portion where we would like to request everyone to please turn on their videos. We will be having a photo op. We will be promoting everyone to panelists. Ready? 3, 2, and smile. Oh, thumbs up. Okay, in 3, 2. Thank you, everybody. Thank you once again to our dear end users. Thank you so much, Adobe Southeast Asia, for gracing us with your presence. That concludes our session for today. So thank you for a very interactive session. This is what we have been achieved. We would like to achieve a very interactive one. So if you have, any questions, anything that you would like to clarify, or if you would like us to do a deep dive presentation with your team, please do reach out to us. So, that we hope that we were able to impart and give you an insightful session for today. So take care, everyone, and keep safe.